Hey y'all, welcome to BA's World. I'm BA. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been maybe like 2 weeks. I was trying to, keep it going, but it's been about 2 weeks. So we're gonna get back to it. If you read like the title, it says I'm pregnant. I'm not pregnant right now, but that's where we ended the story. So picture it like March 16th. What did I say, like around 3 p.m. I just found out I was pregnant. The picture it, if you know, you know. I love Golden Girls. I've been watching Golden Girls since I was a kid, and most of my friends watch Golden Girls still. So if you know what I'm talking about, there's one of the ladies, whenever she tells a story, she says, picture it, Sicily, 1955 or something like that. But anyways, that's where it came from. So anyways, so I'm pregnant, right? And from my miscarriage, I already know that I have low progesterone. So I call my new doctor's office, which is Dr. B's office. I call them, let them know I'm pregnant. And okay, hold on. All right, I might just have to hold it. We gonna make it work though. But okay, so I let them know that I'm pregnant, and that I took a pregnancy test. It says positive, and that I've had low progesterone in the past. So I actually had like progesterone suppositories in my refrigerator, because when I was going through the fertility clinic, they had me taking them like even during my cycle when I was trying to get pregnant, like just in case my progesterone was too low or something with that, they thought it might help. So I had already been taking them prior to, but I've been off of them for like at least 3 months while I was trying to like lose weight and just kind of focus on myself and take some of the pressure off. So I called the doctor and they were like, okay, just go ahead and start taking them, because it's a while before you go to the doctor, before you can get into the doctor's office. So I started taking those, and I want to say I got in the doctor's office pretty quickly, because I was already considered like high risk for one, the progesterone, and then I don't know if they saw my fibroids already. I'm not sure. But anyways, it didn't take too long to get in there. So I got in there. They do all my little, like take my numbers and all that stuff. And everything was going up. But they did notice like, well, your progesterone is a little low, but just keep doing the suppositories. Like, okay, cool. So a bunch of things happened, say, along during this pregnancy. One, I actually fell. I haven't fallen. I don't know the last time I fell. But I had two pit bulls during this time that I loved so much. And one of them ended up getting out. So I would say I'm like 8 weeks pregnant this time. And I had on a dress this day, a long dress that scrubbed the ground. But I wasn't really thinking, of course I'm thinking that I'm pregnant, but like I said, I haven't fallen in so long. So I'm trying to get her, and I almost get her back to my door, and I tripped up on the bottom of my dress and I fell on my side. My big grown 33-year-old self fell on my side. And you know what my dog did? She took off back across the street. Yeah, she did. She was like, forget you. So I get up. Thankfully I fell on my side. I think that helped me a lot. I did fall on my side. My knee was scraped up so bad. If I can find some pictures, I'll like put them in here somewhere. If I figure out how to do that, I'll put them in here. But it was really bad, and then it took a long time to heal because I was pregnant. Like it was awful. It was disgusting too. But anyways, so I get back across the street. Thankfully, like the people, our neighbors and stuff, weren't just extremely afraid of dogs. So I get back. Of course, when I get in the house, I just start bawling, because I'm like, what the crap? I'm 33 years old. I'm pregnant again, thank God, and I freaking failed. What in the... So anyways, I called the doctor, and because I'm frantic, I'm like, I done got pregnant again, then I didn't fail and scrape my knee and all this kind of stuff. So they were telling me like the next 4 hours were pretty critical. So if I don't have certain symptoms within 4 hours, then I'm probably okay. And then just come in. I think I was gonna come in the next day, and they were gonna do like an ultrasound or something to check everything out. So everything was fine, thank God, except for me having this big scrape on my knee, which was sore. Like, my leg used to ache, and I didn't know whether to put a band-aid on it or leave the band-aid off because it looked disgusting, and it hurt. Like, it hurt for a long time, to the point where after I had my baby, no, when I got towards the end of my pregnancy, my doctor was like, yeah, you might need to go to a dermatologist or something, because it was not healing. It looked like something was really, really wrong, but it healed now. I guess it was just pregnancy and everything that was going on in my body. So, okay, so we get past that. I started going to get, before I made it to my 8 weeks, I went to like one of those 4D offices where they do like the ultrasounds and stuff, and I went like at 6 weeks because I was just so like nervous, excited. But I was really nervous because after you have a miscarriage, you just be like, I don't know if it's everybody, but I had a lot of anxiety, so I was always trying to like make sure the baby was okay. I can't tell you how much money I spent going to that place. Probably too much. I went a good amount of times because I wanted to make sure everything was okay. But I do think that it was with good reason, because I'll tell you later. We'll get to that point. But anyway, so me and my husband, we go to the 4D ultrasound place. I forgot what it was called, but I really like the people there. And we hear the heartbeat for the first time. And when I tell you, like, we were both like, my eyes, tears was rolling down my eyes, his eyes was watered. It just was like, wow, we are really here. Like, there's really a baby in there, has a heartbeat and everything. And this was early. I think I was just right at 6 weeks, because the lady was like, we may or may not be able to hear it. So we were able to hear it, and we went to breakfast afterwards, and it's just like we was just lost for words. Like, we both just sitting there looking like, we're really pregnant. Like, there's really a baby in there. So keep that in mind. So I went to the 4D place a lot. I did. I looked it up online, and I was making sure it wasn't like any risk to the baby for if you go often, and I didn't see anything that was alarming. So I used to go just to like make sure he was doing okay in there. So after I get like the ultrasounds done at the doctor's office on all that, they tell me that I do have, well, they said a fibroid at first, but later on it was like multiple fibroids. But there was one specific one, and I think it was like 6 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken, which is a decent size. So they were saying like their only worry would be that the fibroid could restrict the baby's growth at some point. So that was the only thing that they would keep monitoring. So that was another reason why I used to go to the 4D place, because I'm not gonna lie, I love Dr. B, I love everybody that works there, but that ultrasound machine was from 1945, okay? It was old. It was old. I used to feel bad for the lady, the ultrasound tech, because I know she didn't know what in the world, like, no. Some of my pictures from there, I don't even think she knew what to tell me what it was. That's why I would go to the other place to get good pictures, because, can we get another machine, please? Please. Like, y'all are doing very well, but this machine is older than my mama. My mama's not that old, but she's old enough, and this machine is older than her, okay? So, yeah. So, we got the fibroid thing. That's something we paying attention to. All right, so next, and of course I'm paying attention to my weight, because I had lost weight like January, February, I was doing good. I had slimmed down. But it's like coming up on March, which is the month I conceived. I don't know what was going on, but I had started to pick up weight. So I'm already overweight, and I did not want to get severely or morbidly obese, whatever. I didn't want to get too big. So I was trying to keep my eye on that. Of course, I didn't want to have like gestational diabetes and all of that stuff. So paying attention to my weight. Like, I did really good at the beginning because I wasn't eating fries. Like, I was really, really trying to, you know, watch what I was eating and stuff. They're keeping an eye on the fibroids. And for the most part, it always looked like the fibroid was away from the baby. So, you know, everything was looking good. And I did have, I cannot tell you the name of it for nothing now, for anything now, but my placenta was in the front. If I'm not, yeah, it was in the front. So meaning it took a little bit longer for me to feel my baby kicking or moving. And I think that's what helped with my fall too, because my placenta was in the front. So it was like another barrier to protect the baby. Most people's placenta, if I'm not mistaken, is in the back. So it's like your stomach, you know, like the outside of your stomach, if you picture it, that, your baby, then your placenta. But mine was my stomach, like the outer part of my stomach, then go inside, and it's placenta, then my baby. Okay, so I can't remember the name of it though. Okay, so we got that going on. So sometimes that would get in the way of, like with the ultrasound, especially with the 1945 ultrasound machine. It didn't take much, but we didn't know what in the world we was looking at sometimes. Oh, I just used to be like, come on. When I leave, no, wow, not when I leave here, but next week, this is what I would say to myself, or next 2 weeks, I'm going back to the other place. I can see my baby and actually get some good pictures. But other than that, I love that office. But I don't know what my shirt is doing. Anyway, so I don't think other than that I was really having any issues. So we get no, I'm skipping a lot. Okay, so let's go back to the progesterone. So my progesterone is like slowly increasing like it's supposed to. Let's go back a little bit more. I also asked for a second blood test because of the miscarriage. I wanted to know that my numbers were still going up how they were supposed to. So I guess normally they do one test, like after you take your pregnancy test, they do one test, and they give you some time before you come in. And then if your numbers are where they're supposed to, your HCG numbers are where they're supposed to be, then that's just it. Well, since I had a miscarriage and my numbers were rising at one point and then dropped, again, anxiety. So I was like, is that it? Like, you're not gonna do? And they were like, no, ma'am, like your numbers are where they're supposed to be. And I was like, well, I want another, like, I want you to do it another time. And so I remember the nurse practitioner, she was like, so yeah, I did get my nails done. They look a lot better. But she was like, you want another test? I was like, please. I mean, especially if y'all already taking my blood. So yeah. And so she was like, okay, that's fine. She was like, girl, I'm like, please. I just want to see that the numbers are going up still. And then after that, I was fine. So I was going in every 2 weeks because of my progesterone. So I would go in and they would do the test for my progesterone. And then, what was it? I may have had, I had a few more other ultrasounds because of my fibroid. Extra ultrasounds rather. So yeah, so one particular day they taking my blood for my test, and I didn't pay. Like, usually you put like a card on file and you go ahead and put it on file then. But that particular day I was like, I left my card in the car, can you just bill me? So she was like, okay, fine. So she billed me, and because she billed me, I was able to set up an account. So this came in handy because now I'm able to check my blood results every time they take a test, which I wasn't able to do at first. I would have to call, or, of course they'll call you if they see something wrong. but they also have like a ton of patients. So I set up my account. So far at this point, I think I was like, I probably was like 12 or 14 weeks, somewhere in there. And my progesterone had went up to 29 at one point, but then it dropped back down to 25. And I did look up in at one point to see the numbers can fluctuate, but for me, that was too, like, no. Why is it going to 25? It's supposed to be a certain point, and I'm more pregnant than I was. Why is it dropping in? So I had a whole come apart. Like, I'm telling my husband, I'm crying. He playing it, you know, cool, but he called his mama, so I know he was scared. And she called me, and so I was scared, but I was so glad that I had access to that account. See, everything, you know, happens for a reason, because if not, I wouldn't have known unless they called me. They might not have called in time. I don't know. I don't even want to think about that. But I called, and I called Dr. B. I actually spoke to Dr. B. And I'm like, my progesterone is dropping, and I don't know what to do. Da, da, da. So he's like, first he said, how do you know your progesterone is dropping? I was like, well, like, I have access to the account because blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, okay. So he was like, take 2 progesterone suppositories now, and then come in tomorrow. So I take those. I come in the next day, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna have to put you on shots. I guess my body had gotten used to the suppositories, and over time they're uncomfortable. Like, they mess with your pH to me, because of course you putting, like, it's like you put medicine in, you know, in there, and over time it was getting a little uncomfortable anyways. But I've never given myself shots before. So when they were like, okay, we're just gonna put you on the shots, I was like, okay. At this point, I don't care. Give me the shots. I want my baby. Like, I want to keep my baby. So whatever I need to do. They didn't give me good instructions, though. I ain't gonna lie. I had to go back in there and be like, can you tell me where, like, how I'm supposed to do this? Because I'm not trying to hit any nerves or anything like that, which I think at one point I hit something, because that part of my leg was numb for a couple months. The pharmacist did try to tell me, like, where to put them at, but I had never done anything like that. Like, I've never given myself any type of shot. So every night for a while, it was anxiety around that time. Like, I knew I had to give myself a shot. You had to switch sides. You had to switch areas. So I would just be nervous to get, you know, and it wasn't like a itty bitty small needle. Like, I've seen like the GLP drug needles, and they're like tiny. No, it was not like that. It was very much there. It hurt. But I pushed through. So I think I did that from like 14 weeks to like 24 weeks, when my numbers finally got high enough to where they were like, okay, you're good. Like, they're not going to go back down after this. So I had that. So it went from suppositories to shots. So then we did the gestational diabetes test. The first one I failed, and then I had to redo it, take the second one. The second one I passed. So that was like a big blessing. Like, okay, cool, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so come August, which I was about 7 months. I think I was 7 months pregnant. Between 6 and 7 months pregnant. We go on a baby moon to Atlanta. And Atlanta is just like down the street for us. But I'm pregnant now, so usually when we go, like years ago when we would go to Atlanta, it was more like turn up type of vibe. Like, we going out to eat, we going probably to the club, we just hanging out late. But I'm very much so pregnant, and very much so swollen. Like, if I put pictures here, my face was so swollen. Like, smiling, you could barely see my teeth. So sometimes I didn't know if I should smile like showing my teeth, or if I should just go like this. I don't know. My face was swollen. I don't know what to do. But and I was having a lot of swelling just in general, like my legs and all that. So, and that started pretty early with me, but I mean, I'm over 30, I'm overweight, so I didn't think it was a thing. You know, I thought it was just part of pregnancy. So, which people normally do swell to some extent, but sometimes it's like other things that are going on. So we go on the trip, we have a good time. I looked up a bunch of different things. Like, there's so much to do in Atlanta that it's not clubbing. Like, you can go on bus, what is it called, tours around certain areas and like learn the history. They have like R&B ones, hip-hop. We did like the Martin Luther King tour. That was cool. We also did another one, and we went to these, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a whole bunch of restaurants in one place. It puts you in the mind of like a mall cafeteria, but so much better, like an upscale mall cafeteria. But what else did we do? Oh, we did putt golf. We went to a place called Putt Shack, I think. And even that whole area full of activities, restaurants. What else? We went to, is it called The Scene Restaurant? I have to look it up. But if I look it up and I find it, I'll put it in here. But I like that restaurant. Sometimes they have loud music. They have a DJ. And then at night it turns into a club, but we went during the day. So we had to change it up because I'm pregnant and it's only so much I could do. So we go, enjoy the trip, we come back. So my first day back to work, I remember waking up and feeling like my equilibrium was off. Like, just like I was just off a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just, you know, part of pregnancy. So I'm sure I'm fine. So I go to work and still I get up and I'm like, I don't feel right, but I've never had like a high blood pressure. So my thought process was like, maybe my blood pressure is low. So something was like, just check your blood pressure. So I go get the blood pressure machine, take my blood pressure. And then, no, I didn't take it. One of my coworkers saw me with it and she was like, are you okay? Like, she used to work as an EMT and she was like, you want me to take your blood pressure? I'm like, cool, yeah. So my blood pressure was high. Like, it was high to the point where my face was starting to look kind of like pale. I definitely did feel good. I didn't know what to think. So I go to the women's hospital, whatever. I'm over there for like 3 hours and finally it goes back down. So they end up saying, you know, maybe you were dehydrated. They really didn't do anything. No, they didn't. They didn't hook me up to no fluids or anything. They just said maybe I got dehydrated. And what else? Some of the stuff I was telling the lady, she was like, yeah, that's just because you're pregnant and you're gaining weight. You know, some nurses can be like extra sensitive. She was just like, yeah, it's because you're pregnant. And I was like, careful. But anyways, I'm aware of that, but I don't feel right. So whatever. And it's crazy. This is like totally off the subject, but one of my cousins, bless her heart, she passed away that same day. And I felt like, I just felt like God had a way of kind of trying to shelter me from that in a sense, because it happened, but I'm in the hospital and dealing with blood pressure problems. So it's like, I can only address it so much at the time. You know what I mean? Of course, afterwards, I was like a total mess, but it was different because I was like, I have to like watch what I'm doing because, you know, you can't get too upset when you're pregnant. Anyway, rest in peace, Sequoia. So, yeah. So, keep that in mind. Blood pressure shooting up. So, over time, that becomes a thing. Something that I was totally unaware of. And I don't think people mention enough. So, I did not have gestational diabetes, but I had gestational hypertension. So all the swelling and my blood pressure, it's one of those things like, I feel like it's kind of like when you're on your way to preeclampsia, if you know what that is, which is like high blood pressure. It's a lot of stuff that could go wrong with that. And the blood pressure part even though it might not be high enough to be considered preeclampsia, it can still like wear on your organs. So from that time, I probably went to the hospital, I think 2 or 3 more times, because I might look up, my hand is swollen. I was swelling really, really bad. And then I would check my my blood pressure, and it would be high. And it was, of course, it's like certain numbers they're telling me to pay attention to. Pay attention to, like if your bottom number gets like 40 and up, or your top number gets like once I got to where my blood pressure was like consistently 130. My top number is like consistently 130 and up. And so it's like, okay, I said that wrong. I said bottom number 40 and up. No. So your normal blood pressure is 120/70, if I'm not mistaken. So when you start to get like 80, 90 on the bottom, and then your top number is like 135, 140, over time, that can like really work on your organs. I'm sure it can when you're not pregnant, but definitely when you're pregnant. So that's what I started dealing with. So I'm always kind of trying to monitor my blood pressure, make sure I'm not worked up, try to relax, lay on different sides if my blood pressure is high and stuff like that. Okay, so now we're getting towards the end, and I just started to feel like I'm not gonna make it. So my due date was supposed to be November 29th. And I remember just getting like real anxious at home, like, okay, I gotta start get my baby stuff together. My baby shower was September 23rd, and I was big, I was big. So I just started feeling real anxious, like I'm not gonna make it to November 29th. I don't know when I'm gonna make it. I had pretty much guessed my delivery date. I was like, I think I'll make it to November, but it'll probably be the first weekend in November, like November 1st, November 2nd. So I started getting my stuff together because I'm swelling like crazy. My stomach is huge, which I'm thinking I'm having a big baby. What else? Yeah, so yeah, that's about it. So we'll say we go to this is where things start to get a little weird. So I go to the 4D doctor, right? So me and her have a good relationship. She knows about my fibroids. She knows about everything. But being an ultrasound tech, they can't just tell you, like if they see something wrong, they can't just be like, hey, this is what I see. They could just like tell you need to go get checked out. This wig is from Julia Hair, y'all. I love Julia Hair. This is a headband wig. I'm trying to save some money, keep from spending so much money on braids and all that. Whew, excuse me. So I just threw this baby on. I didn't spray it down, but I usually spray it down, and I usually kind of, do a little something right here. But yeah, I think it's cute, and it wasn't expensive. But yeah. So I go to her one day, and usually everything she showed me my baby. He was not growing any hair. He has some hair now. It's not a lot, but it's real cute. He's a cutie pie. But I was having heartburn and stuff, but he didn't have any hair, so I don't know about that. But she gets real quiet at a certain point. Now she would always show me the baby, and then she would go over to my fibroid, and she would say, well, your fibroid is still over here. So I'm like, okay, cool. Because remember, they were always worried about the fibroid restricting my baby's growth. Okay. So, we were there. I think my husband was there today, and my mama was there. My mama and my husband was there. So she gets quiet, and she's like, have they said anything about your placenta at your doctor's office? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay, it looks a little old. Like your placenta should be aging, with your pregnancy, but for where you are in pregnancy, it looks aged a little bit. So I'm like, okay. You know, like your placenta is where your baby is getting like the nourishment and everything from. So I'm like, it's getting old. Like, what? So she looks at the fibroid, and you know, like I said, she can only say so much. So she has a good system. Her ultrasound system is very much so clear. So it's just like, she was like, well, okay, go to your next doctor's appointment and, you know, tell them to take a look. And if they don't see anything wrong, then maybe everything's fine. Maybe it's the angle I'm looking at it. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you're always on point. Your machine is way better than theirs. If you think something is wrong or off, it probably is, you know? So, anyways, I go to my doctor, tell them what she said. They bring out the 1942 machine, and the lady, she doing her best. I love her though. She knows what she's doing, but that machine is old. Okay, so she's looking, and this particular time she's like, I don't, you know, everything looks fine. So I'm like, well, you know, maybe it was the angle, and okay, whatever, I'm not gonna stress about it. So I said a little bit after that, I can't remember exactly, I want to say I was about 32 weeks, 31 weeks, they started doing, and they have a name for these appointments, but I can't remember names. But you go twice a week. You go twice a week, they put your baby on the ultrasound machine, and they watch your baby for like 30 minutes. And one day I had to stay an hour because I think he was either moving too much. He didn't like that, you know. They don't like being locked down to that thing. He would kick it off, kick the little thing they put in your stomach for their heartbeat and stuff. He would get mad and kick it off. And I think the first day I went, he wasn't moving enough. He was just waking up, so I had to stay an hour. So they started those. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Ooh. Okay. So I started doing those, and those started going pretty good. Now at some point they tell me that they already told me it wasn't gonna be too long because of the hypertension, the gestational hypertension, because if you let it go on too long, it will turn into preeclampsia. It just will. So they monitor me, they're taking my urine, checking all this stuff. So at some point between, I can't remember if I started these appointments, but they sent me to the hospital to get 2 steroid shots. The steroid shots are to strengthen my baby's lungs. So if he comes early, he'll be able to breathe good on his own. Okay, so I go get those done. So when I got those, and mind you, I'm watching my weight. My weight shot up so quick, and it was because of, you know, I was retaining fluid because I was already swelling. Now I got a steroid shot, but it was scary. Like my body just felt like I couldn't go much longer. Like it was so much weight that came on so quick. So eventually it goes back down though, about a couple days. And another thing, like if they don't tell you, which I would hope they would tell you, when you do get the steroid shots, your baby, the movement of your baby slows up because that's a drug that's going in there, and they're trying to, like, you know, take it in, so they don't move as much. So it was mental for me because I'm like, okay, he's okay, he's you know, he's doing okay, he's just trying to get used to, you know, what's going on with the medicine. Okay, so they do that, but I don't end up having my baby. I don't end up going into the hospital to have my baby that time. So then I would say maybe it had to be like the 3rd or 4th week where I'm going for these appointments, and I go get an ultrasound. 34 weeks or something. They do an ultrasound. So mind you, a couple weeks before, I told the lady about my placenta. She didn't see anything on the 1942 ultrasound machine. But now it's very quiet, and I remember being like, what is going on? It was a very long appointment because she was taking her time, like what she always had to do, because the machine was old and she had to figure out what in the world she was looking at. So she's taking her time, she's looking, but her expressions, they can't hide it sometimes. And she's just like, her face is bent up, and I'm just like, what in the world is happening? So the first thing, red flag, was she said, I asked how big my baby was, and y'all, she said the way it was looking, he was 4 pounds and 10 ounces. 4 pounds? Are you kidding me? 4 pounds? And I'm 34 weeks. I'm 34 weeks. And my stomach is huge. My face, everything, I'm like, 4 pounds. And so his head had been down for a long time. My baby was like, please get me up out of here with this fibroid. It ain't enough room for me here, please. I'm ready. His head had been down for a long time. So they started to describe his body to me, like his, how his head, he has a short torso. So I'm like, what is happening? Like, everything was going good. And she starts saying everything that the lady told me a few weeks ago at the 4D ultrasound. She was like, your placenta is aging, and it looks older than it's supposed to be. My baby's growth was restricted. That's why he was only 4 pounds. He didn't have, between the placenta and the fibroid, something was going on in there, and so he couldn't grow anymore. It was uncomfortable in there. I had multiple fibroids that I ended up finding out, but I didn't know how many or where they were, if they were affecting him at all. I just knew about the bigger one. Okay, so that's going on. I want to say this was all in the same day, if I'm not mistaken. But it may have been I might have had the ultrasound, and then I was doing the two appointments a day, and then I might have went back the next day. Okay, so remember, I'm saying remember, but if you know anything about preeclampsia, it's a couple things. It's blood pressure, it's protein in your urine. There's something that you can have with there's a certain pain you can get in your side. So it's several things they look at. So while they're monitoring me, like my blood pressure and everything, they're also checking my urine, like see if they see protein or anything like that. So this particular day was a Thursday. I'm 34 weeks. Yeah, 34 weeks. And I was 34 or 35, but I know between those two. So I remember just starting to feel like something is wrong, and I just want y'all to get the baby out because I don't feel right. So they take the little test or whatever. No, you know what? It may have been the same day of the ultrasound. I really think it is. I think it was the same day, because the doctor, Dr. B, he was like, at some point, he was explaining everything was going on with my placenta, everything. He was like, I'm going to send you home, and you come back on Monday. And I just remember, like, my heart dropping. I was like, come back on. Y'all just told me my baby's only 4 pounds. My placenta is old. What from those two things say send me home? I don't think so. But of course, I'm just thinking this to myself, and I'm feeling like uncomfortable. Going home just doesn't sound good. Like, I'm not gonna get any sleep. I'm just gonna be worried the whole time, which is gonna lead to high blood pressure. No. So I was just like praying, like, please. So he keeps talking, and he has a medical assistant that's always with him. Always. So this was a Thursday. I had already been in that Tuesday or Monday for my other monitoring, whatever. So that day, they didn't say anything to me about me having protein in my urine. They didn't say anything. So once he gets ready to say, like, he's going to send me home, I can't even tell you what this lady was saying, but she just, I couldn't hardly hear her, but she was pointing at a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's almost like someone told her, like, no, don't send her home. Like, do not send her home. So she just goes there and she's like, do, you know, do. And so he's looking, he's like, oh, okay. And then he turned back and looked at me. He was like, okay, no, we're going to go to the hospital. We're going to go to the hospital. And I promise you, I took like a deep, like, oh, thank you. Because I'm not going to get any rest. Something's clearly wrong. So I don't want to go home. I want to be monitored. So that's what happened. So I go to the hospital on a Thursday. That night, they come in and give me one shot. Another steroid shot, right? For my baby's lungs. You have to get them 24 hours apart, I think. I think it's 24 hours apart. So I got one that Thursday, and I think they come back and give me another one the following day. It's either 24 hours or 48 hours. So after that, so now we're at the hospital. So we're at the hospital, but I went home. I packed up all my stuff. I had already, when I tell y'all I knew I was gonna have my baby early, I knew I was gonna have my baby early. So this particular day was October 25th, I believe. A Thursday. That's the Sunday before, me and my husband went out to eat. And I looked cute. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up. If I can find a picture. And if I can figure out how to put the picture here, because I'm still new. But like, you could tell it was almost time. But at the time, I'm technically still having like over a month to my due date. And I saw this guy that my dad knows, and he was like, y'all, it's about that time. Y'all getting that last little outing in. Y'all getting that last meal in. Out, you know, like going out. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, I'm probably close, but I mean, probably have a little, you know, a few more weeks. But nah, he knew, right? You know, like older people be knowing. He probably looked at me and was like, that girl is about to have that baby. And he was very much so right. So I'm going to end right here. I've gathered up all my stuff. I've gotten in the hospital. I'm able to keep my regular clothes on because they're not going to be hooking me up to anything just yet. And they give me like the first steroid shot. And then I go the next day for another steroid shot, if I'm not mistaken. And then y'all gotta tune in for labor and delivery. It won't take as long, I promise you. I'm gonna try to go get this one edited, get this one uploaded, and then probably like 2 days from now I'm gonna do that video so I can get it all done. But yeah, so y'all like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment like if you had like similar experiences, or if you're trying to get pregnant, or you know, just comment, whatever. And I will see y'all next time on BA's I was gonna say on BA's World. Well, I guess I could technically say that, because that's the name of the channel. So I will see you next time on BA's World, where you're gonna get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and hopefully you can resonate with most of it, or relate to, or whatever word you want to use. Okay, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.